So the news that EA have actually turned down the idea of making a Star Wars Battlefront 3 has recently came out in the news, so I wanted to talk about it in this video today. Obviously the news is quite sad, but I do hope that this video can at least be informative and something that you agree with. So before we begin, please do leave a like, subscribe, and let's start. Obviously DICE are the ones that made Battlefront 2015 and Battlefront 2, so they actually came to EA, pitched the idea for Battlefront 3, and EA simply said no. And they've given a reason as to why they've said no, and honestly, it's quite pathetic. Especially considering how well Battlefront 2 turned itself around from being perceived terribly at the launch and everyone hated it, to actually being really quite loved by the time the game was basically cut. EA don't want to make Battlefront 3 because Disney take 20% of the money that Battlefront 3 would earn, or Star Wars games would earn, so instead they want to focus on Battlefield. And in case you didn't know, a new Battlefield game recently came out and everyone hates it. The Battlefield franchise is very much dying, and Battlefront would do much better than Battlefield if they put their time and effort into it. And yet you can say that EA just want to do it for the money because they would get 100% of Battlefield, but 100% of a number less than what you get 80% of doesn't make any sense to go with that, because the total amount they would make from Battlefront would be more than Battlefield. So it just baffles me. It's so confusing. I don't understand why they have done this, because genuinely, with the way that Battlefield is declining and with the way this game has been perceived and described by all the people that are playing it, the next installment that they are focusing on instead of making a Battlefront would do even worse. So I genuinely think that Battlefront would make at least 3 times the money, and 80% of a number 3 times as big is a lot more money that EA would be making if they made Battlefront 3. And another thing that makes no sense is Disney would have been doing this for all Star Wars games since they bought Star Wars, and Battlefront 3 wouldn't be the first one that they would have made since Disney bought Star Wars, because you know there's Battlefront 2015, Battlefront 2, Jedi Fallen Order, and even Star Wars Squadrons that would have 20% of the money going to Disney. So why is it a problem now, and why is it only a problem for Battlefront 3? Because there's literally 2 games, Star Wars games, that EA are making right now, untitled, that isn't Battlefront 3. One's probably the Jedi Fallen Order sequel, but why are all those games allowed but Battlefront 3 isn't? Especially with how promising the 3rd installment of EA's take on the Battlefront franchise probably would be, considering, like what I said earlier, how well Battlefront 2 finished before they cut the support. It just doesn't make any logical sense to me. Maybe it's a huge lack of knowledge that's something the news isn't reporting, or maybe it's just my Star Wars bias, but even if they're only looking at it from a money perspective, there's more money in Battlefront. And because it's such a no-brainer, that is why I have made this video. Dear EA, please sell your rights to the Battlefront franchise to another company. They clearly don't want to make this game, so why make us suffer? They've already lost the exclusive rights to making any Star Wars games, and now companies like Ubisoft can make Star Wars games, and they are making an open world Star Wars game. So why not just get rid of the rights to making Battlefront games if you're not going to make any? Because if anything, if another company made a Battlefront game and the hype around Star Wars games in general was increased, then the sales for your Jedi Fallen Order sequel will probably increase. And it's not like it's going to be hard to sell the rights to making Battlefront games, because it's such a no-brainer that making another one would be very desired by the fan base. And yes, in case you didn't know, EA are the only company right now that can make Battlefront specific Star Wars games, which is why they should, sell the rights, or even give up the rights, because they ain't gonna do anything with it, and just put maybe like a clause in the contract for when you sell it that you earn maybe like 5 to 10% of the money that whoever makes the next Battlefront game makes, just so you're not selling it for nothing or getting rid of it for nothing. Because EA are clearly quite focused on money, so if they're not going to make a Battlefront game, they might as well make some money off of the fact that they're not going to make a Battlefront game. I've said the word Battlefront way too many times. I genuinely can't think of any other possible Star Wars game that would get me more excited than another installment of Battlefront, and I know a lot of you would be the same. I spoke about the Ubisoft open world game coming soon, but I'm nowhere near as excited for that as I am for the prospect and just thinking about another Battlefront game. And I think the worst part of this story is that DICE were ready to make Battlefront 3. They were already planning stuff to continue on Battlefront 2 before the support was cut, so you know, they obviously diverted their excitement and all of their ideas towards making a Battlefront 3, because they probably gathered, okay, you've cut the support for this game, we did a good job, like we turned it around from being bad to good, we will now make a new game that's good from the start. So they get everything together, they're so excited, they go expecting a yes because it's such a no-brainer. They ask the question, are we making a Battlefront 3? And they say no. And like I said, it's so obvious that we should get another Battlefront game. I just don't understand what they were possibly thinking to say no. I mean, I get that a Battlefront game would take a lot of time, and that's probably up there with the main reason as to why they didn't do it. Obviously, it takes away focus from their other games like Battlefield, but I definitely think it's worth the time, because if it takes double the time, for example, it's definitely going to make more than double the money. And again, I know I'm talking about money a lot in this video, but that seems to be all that EA care about, because they put so much focus into their sports games, which are obviously extremely pay to win, like FIFA, for example. So, you know, if maybe one employee from EA's listen, I doubt it, but if they are, I'm pitching it in a way that they would obviously like. But anyway, they didn't say yes to Battlefront 3, so that is Mace Windu, Qui-Gon Jinn, Ahsoka Tano, Padme, Cassian Andor, Jyn Erso, The Bad Batch, Captain Rex, Kit Fisto, Plo Koon, Din Djarin, Poe Dameron, Savage Opress, Snoke, Asajj Ventress, any of the Inquisitors, Jango Fett, Pre Vizsla, Director Krennic, etc, etc, Mustafar, the Jedi Temple, and so many other ideas that could be brought into a new Battlefront game, all down the drain. So with that being considered, I'm going to ask this one more time. EA, can you please sell the rights to Battlefront games? So that's going to be the end of this video. Please do let me know if you agree with what I've said in this video. Do you want to see a Battlefront 3? Let me know in the comments. I imagine a lot of you are going to be saying yes. And if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, subscribe for some more Star Wars content, whether that be news or anything else. Also, if you want to see any more Star Wars news, then click this video up here. And with that being said, goodbye.